they show him like rehearsing earlier in the day and whatnot. And I love that venue. So
I still have to see that movie. He's got a real Jamie Gum voice going, doesn't he?
yeah, and I guess he stayed in character while directing.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's very man on the moon of him. Uh, uh, yeah, I just every time I hear that trailer, I'm like, is she a great big fat person? I'm like, no, no.
There is a bit of that. There's a bit of that. But he puts two of his Alias co-stars in the movie, which I loved. It was a
Oh,
nice
that's
thing.
awesome. I
Yeah,
remember,
yeah.
yeah. Alias too. Was that part of United? We the fan or United We fan?
No, none of the Abrams. I guess that would. Well, no, First Venturist would say. What am I saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, that's the thing is like he mentioned. Like I think it's really the ones I mentioned, and that the other ones might get like name dropped or very quick visuals. But he said how he kind of had to focus. Like he's like in the closing credits, even he's like all the other fan campaigns. I wish we could have included you, just because to make it the movie concise, they had to focus on like five or so just to make it work.
Oh my God, Eric! It's 15 minutes in. We are terrible. All right. Dean Ambrose got a flu shot in his ass on Raw. We're gonna just start with Raw here, by the way. Raw had terrible ratings, and it was also a notably really ill-fitting, jagged feeling Raw. It was really bad, and it mostly had to do with the promos, the creative decision for the segments, the specific promo segments. I'm not talking about the matches. I'm not talking about like Finn. I don't even know what the matches were. What did it even open with? Elias versus Bobby Lashley, and it closed
Right,
with,
which is one of
with
those
Finn
things.
Balor.
By the way, where you have to do the it's so funny how what a difference like 2 months makes, and that Elias is now full face, who can come out and face down all of the big heels right now. And I'm just like, oh man, 2 months ago he was like the again, it was a little out of character segment, but he was being like sexist to Trish Stratus and other like women, and they were all like being cheered, standing up to like this a-hole. So it's just wrestling's funny like that.
I will say when he was, now he can get a huge pop. I mean, he did anyway, even when he was quote unquote heel with just that opening guitar chord, that strum, and the lights go out, the guitar strum, everyone cheers, and now he can just turn his songs into insult songs about the heels.
Instead of the crowdies in front of him, instead of the cities.
It is funny that this happened so soon after that epic Seattle booing session when he made fun of them not having a basketball team. That now he's just completely babyface after 5 minutes of straight booing. But he did like he's like insulting everyone in the ring. He's like, and then we get to Bobby Lashley, who I like to call Bobby Trashley.
Right.
I really wanted him to look at the camera and do like a Mr. Roper silent laugh.
I wanted him to hold up a meticulously made fake Garbage Pail Kid, Bobby Trashley.
That'd be great. I would buy WWE themed Garbage Pail Kids in a heartbeat.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So these promos, specifically, I guess we're just talking Dean Ambrose. We're also talking Nia Jax. And It wasn't a promo, but the pissing on Bobby Roode's robe, it all just felt very... They were all bad in a different way. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any common thread that was bad about them. Like, the pissing on the robe felt very Attitude Era.
Yes, very.
Nia Jax's promo was too long, and they're not handling her right. She shouldn't be smiling. So each of the problems with these promos was a very different thing, and that led to Raw feeling, if it was all actually the same problem and the same complaint for all of them, Raw would have at least felt a little more cohesive, because you could say, oh, this was the problem with Raw, they were all kept doing this. This Raw felt very disjointed because it had so many different varying problems, and so it just felt more all over the map. It started with this wasn't a problem. This was just Braun Strowman talking about his bad elbow. But yeah, then to go from that real doctor's office to Dean Ambrose's fake doctor's office, or at least not his real doctor.
Yeah.
Was just that just felt weird in itself. Why do two segments from a doctor's office
So weird, so weird. By the way, I think I've mentioned before, like it's just become my go-to because it's I like the site and it's easy to get to look at. But I always glance at the Raw results and SmackDown results that UpRocks posts each week when we're doing this, just to remind myself, but also
shout out to Brandon Stroud
to see. Although this one's written by Raja Prasad.
Oh, okay.
Just to see refresh myself, and also in the case of Raw to see what they.
Oh, you're just looking at the results.
Results, not when they do because they do 2 columns. They do just the results,
and then they do the best and worst. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is funny because there's obviously there'll be some like implicit sarcasm that sneaks through in just the results. So I did like that. It literally says like a dash line, and then it just says Dean Ambrose got a couple of shots in his arm and butt to keep him healthy during flu season. It's like, yep, that was that segment. I mean, he also said some dark things to camera while getting said shots in arms and butt. But
let's
a weird segment anyway, and then even weirder to not be like, hey, we just had Braun from a hospital. Maybe we shouldn't have Dean in a doctor's office right after.
First, I think there was some confusion about like why is he in Milwaukee? By the way, Milwaukee famous for nothing happening in Milwaukee, even though Aiden English insisted something did.
Yes.
Nothing happened. Milwaukee once again famous for nothing happening.
Laverne and Shirley, man.
But that Dean would travel there just to go to the doctor. They actually said this was his personal physician. So I don't even think he was there. But he was meeting with his personal physician. So whether it was pre-taped, I mean, obviously it was pre-taped, but whether it was supposed to be taking place live at night, he just had his personal physician do a nighttime flu shot session. Like, if we're looking to like find the logic in this,
yeah. But it's also weird. It's also weird, by the way, that like I think we kind of skirted over. In fact, I don't think we mentioned it at all. And I wanted to mention maybe because it's my town. Because the week before he did that, like, what is this stench? And then it was like, it's you Hollywood phonies. And I thought that was kind of funny. But then they decided to go all in on, like, he hates every city, which I'm like, it's the easy heel heat. But for Dean especially seems really random. Like, oh, now he's going to hate every city. Although he gets a little more specific and weird about it. It's like his senses.
Two things.
He's overwhelmed by the things about these cities.
The way he said last week specifically, what's that smell? And he like really sold it and he was like sniffing. It's like, you can't not think of the No Holds Barred scene when the guy shits his pants.
Sure, of course.
And he's like, what's that smell? And like Hulk Hogan's snarling. He's like, and the guy's Dookie. And he's literally laid a lake of turds in his pants. It's so soaked. It's almost, I think it's like almost half of his pants are soaked with diarrhea.
Lake of Turds, good book name.
Lake of Turds is my favorite J.R.R. Tolkien appendix. Just elven history appendix. I think then, now, the way that they've shied away from Dean actually considering himself a lunatic, like he doesn't like that term now. He's actually using it as a sort of a point of contention for why he left the Shield. It's like they kept calling me crazy. With all the crazy things I've done, they kept calling me crazy. Now he's also very hygienic. You know, the two things that we associated with Dean were his, being a lunatic and his unkempt, unshowered, unwashed nature. You know, he was the ruffian, the vagabond of the group, like the drifter, not the Elias style, but just he was the dirty one, right? Mm-hmm. His finisher's called Dirty Deeds, which is an AC/DC song, but still, he's, it's very easily makes you think of Dirty Dean. Well, now he's Clean Dean. Now he's Clean Dean Ambrose.
Clean Dean, yeah.
Very concerned about what he's smelling. He's very concerned about his health and hygiene. It's like he's kind of a germaphobe now, which is so I don't know what's behind that necessarily.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's a little. I do think I think Ambrose is doing a good job performance-wise with it, but it's a little murky. Like, I kind of liked even though the questionable nature of even touching Roman's cancer aside, I did like the we did things. Has the Shield that no one knows about, because he was basically saying I'm guilty too.
The things we did for Klondike bars.
Right. That's different at least. But now, like you said, it's this weird I hate every city because they're gross to me, and the people are gross, and yeah, it seems like a weird shift.
And of all of the Shield, he
Yes.
was the most of the people, right? He was the most like, I'm just a regular guy. I don't know how to do a promo. What's a camera? Like, some funny catchphrases. I don't do that. I just fight like normal people. Where's my beer? And now he's like above the people. Now now they're the smelly rabble, and there's really no cause for that. It just feels random. And last week when he was smelling, it was because they were phony. But now he's like smelling. They saying they stink because they stink.
Yeah.
Now they're like toxic garbage.
His senses are just out of control.
He got daredeviled.
Something happened.
He got Matt Murdock. He saved someone, and like a Roxxon chemical wave splashed in his eyes, or at least up his nose. Let's see. Then I don't know if you have anything else to add. Well, they started with. So first. We saw Braun's elbow, which looked like just a bad wedge of cheese, like had gone bad. It looked bad. It was all bruised up. I was kind of concerned because he said the surgeons had never seen anything like it before.
Right.
And we're kind of like, they're going to go exploring. They don't know what they're going to find. Like somehow the Shroud of Turin or the Dead Sea Scrolls are going to be in his elbow. But then the opening shot of Dean's was of his arm, and we were supposed to think it was his butt. And then it pulled back. He's like, what? You think I was going to show my ass? And then at the end, he drops his trousers. Came full circle. I don't know if it was all just really like, hey, kids, get your flu shots. Take it from your uncle, Dean Old Ambrosia. Or if it was, he's the heel and he believes in vaccinations and WWE is actually...
Please don't touch that. I think it's more... it's an expansion of like everyone sucks and is awful in all these cities because they probably are so stupid they wouldn't get vaccinations. But I
really want if they're doing this for no reason, then they need to triple down on it. Just he's doesn't want to touch anything. He wears gloves. He's Purelling all the time. He's always drinking some sort of antioxidant smoothie. He's just super concerned about being dirty people. I mean, clean them up. Go do the what Mick Foley's done a couple times, which is like rebelling against hardcore. Now I'm suit and tie, hair parted to the left guy, looking all nice and neat. Like have him go that route.
Sure. Matt?
Yeah,
important breaking news tangent. Did you know that Faith No More is working on new music?
What? Yeah. Am I going to have to stop this podcast to go look at what all this is about?
Roddy Bottom says in a new interview that they are working on new music. Anyway, I'm sorry. Matt and I both love Faith No More.
I didn't, Faith No More.
Seen them in concert. They are a band I am as heavily invested in as he is in Nine Inch Nails and have all their albums. So
I thought you were going to say like Avengers trailer. Because then I was like, we have to stop this and start it again.
You're going to throw your laptop and then realize you need it.
Like, no, that's how I look at things. What did you think of Nia Jax's promo?
They never. I think they've always had this problem with Nia, which is she should be like the female monster, but they still lean too much into like giving her sarcasm and like I don't know, a little too like winky.
I think they have a hard time making a female heel that's not a mean girl.
Yes, that's a good way of doing it. They ultimately go back to that in recent years, with the women's evolution and whatnot. I think that their female faces have gotten a lot more nuanced and don't have to be the same thing. But with the heels, they kind of end up being like bitchy and sort of cliche mean girl, and don't get to be like sort of their own. So, like you said, they do a lot of the fake out, apologies. And, it's just it feels like they hit a lot of the same beats with the female heels that I hope they can get out of doing. I mean, even so, it's like I guess it's funny because on one hand, I understand that the Iconics are a version of that, but they're so extreme. I appreciate that, and at least with the impressions, it's like different. It doesn't feel like it's just the like girl at the locker, complaining. Even though it is.
Yeah. So Nia first. the first point I guess I want to make is that nobody should be sent out there to talk for 10 minutes. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's The Rock.
Yep.
And even then, that's pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have a situation where you're going to be interrupted every 3 minutes with